So the key to your technical development and improvement is down to it being a numbers game. So here's a good thought experiment. Take a calendar, print it out, and every day you get 30 minutes of intentional work on your game. First touch, passing, 1v1 moves, ball manipulation, ball mastery, juggling. Shade in that day. At the end of 30 days, how many days do you have shaded in? Now, if I ask players how often do you train a month away from your club setting, they probably wouldn't be able to give me an answer. And that's not their fault. This is not a metric they should be made to produce on the spot. However, it is kind of important to understand your inputs if you want to be on a platform team or you want to make a varsity team or you want to be a better player and own your development process. So that's one way to look at it. Another way is to look at it through the lens of repetitions. Across the sporting landscape in this country of all of our sports, the top tier athletes are getting more reps per day, not each week, not each month, per day, in specific areas of their game that they need to continue to improve on to separate from the crowd. So it could be free throws, it could be batting practice, it could be at the driving range, it could be in the tennis court, it could be on the track, it could be doing anything to amass those reps. The reps don't lie, and within those reps is the key to the next level that you reach. In 2014, I wrote an article about an experience I had as a young player when I was lucky enough to go overseas and play. I was part of a cohort that ranged from the age 7 through 17, and we were basically put in with a Dutch academy, and we trained with them, we lived with them, we did everything together. And twice a week, 2 of the sessions were 2+ hours long, heavy technical, high intensity, high rep stations. And the other 2 days that we trained were more tactical and match play centric. So 4 days of training, match day at the weekend. It's 5 days. We were touching the ball every day regardless. However, in these sessions, and I wrote about this in the article, these stations would have high intensity, high rep, prolonged duration of getting contacts on the ball. And the experience is pretty transformative. So station 1 would be one touch passing for 20 minutes. You take minimal breaks, but it could be against a wall, it could be with a partner or a couple partners, and all surfaces of your foot, both feet, just knocking the ball back and forth. High tempo, high rhythm. Second one would be passing patterns. You get a group of 8 players. You get 3 soccer balls. You have a cone grid set up, and you follow your pass, receive across your body, turn around, the next ball's coming. It's just continuation. From there, you go into ball manipulation, ball mastery. So your ground moves, your 1v1 moves, all unopposed. The skill work, the core verse stuff, foundational stuff. And then from there, you go into your 1v1 opposed. So now you can use that ball manipulation, that ball mastery against an opponent. A lot of contacts there. And then you go into small-sided games. So now you can use your passing, the ball mastery, and all that stuff in a more team-like setting. But you're getting high repetition, 20 minutes, no score, just keep playing. That was helpful. And then from there, different juggling variations. So juggling below the knee, juggling 3 or 4 times, pop the ball up, get it under control. Partner juggling, juggling against a wall, using again all surfaces and techniques, and then we might split up into a 8v8 game or something like that. But ultimately, twice a week, it was high intensity, high rep focus. Now, over the years, and especially coming out of writing this article, that kind of exploded. People were trying to break down this 10,000 touches a day, and the top players in our age group could easily do this. And eventually I got to the point where I could do it as well. It took a while, and it wasn't when I was in Europe. I had to do it when I came back to the US. All this to say, the point of it was not this arbitrary number. It was the thought process about how to get better and how to improve your technical development and own that process. And so over the years, I've given my top players an example of what a 10,000 touch workout would look like, or a day would look like. And they don't have to do it all at once. That'd be hard to do, but an hour here, 30 minutes there, and 30 minutes at the tail end of the day, they could probably get this stuff done. The whole point was, when I gave some of my athletes about, say 10 years ago, these examples, they did it for 14 days, and the start time on day 1 to day 14 dramatically dropped off because they got so much better at understanding their training habits, their training system, their intensity level, their fitness level to do this stuff, their mental endurance to maintain it. Ultimately, what it comes down to is if you want to be a top player, this isn't for everybody. This is a decision that one makes to improve themselves. But I've given a 500 touch workout or a 1,000 touch workout to players that had lower ability, and they've gone off and owned it for 30 days, and they've come back different players come spring. So it doesn't really matter what the number is. It's the fact that the quality has to be there, but the quantity is probably not there. So ultimately, I think if you could develop a relationship with the ball and own that development and understand it, you understand who you are as a player and where your gaps are, you can immediately make these changes, and they pay massive dividends in your development cycle, especially for the young players. But this applies across the board. We just don't have a culture that promotes developing a relationship with the ball enough in this country. And so I think, like when I wrote my book, It's Just the Ball, that's why it's titled that, developing that relationship with a ball. Don't skip out on understanding what that means. There were experiences I had when I needed to work on my fitness and my dribbling, so I would take a ball, jog through my neighborhood with a ball at my foot. I'd vary the different types of touches I would get from, 1 touch per step to using only my left foot, to throwing a move in there, to using only the bottom of my foot, to, laces, all sorts of variations. You can do a lot in 30 minutes, and kill 2 birds with 1 stone if you're clever. And that's kind of what I took into my coaching experiences, and why I think this is an important topic for today's player. All right, thanks.